let's say, I'm afraid that maybe the person will pass away. A person goes overseas. And if he goes overseas, then let's say we had a case of a Kohen, that he was a Kohen. And as a result of being a Kohen, even though his wife was the daughter of someone with a non-Kohen, yes, it ties in with Sukkah, because we spoke about the animal. Are we afraid the animal is going to die? And therefore the wall will lose its height. Morning, Adam. So
I forgot to ask if the rabbi wanted coffee too.
no, I'm gonna.
Happiness.
You are my coffee, Adam.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no problem. So we have the story of a guy who's a Kohen, married a daughter who's a Bat Yisrael, daughter of a non-Kohen. But as a result of marrying a Kohen, she gets the privilege to eat truma. She can eat truma, but she can only eat truma. Be careful with that coffee. If he comes, yeah.
Oh wow, you made a copy for Mr. Hibbert?
Mr. Batesh, I asked Mr. Batesh, but he, I asked him, but he did the mitzvah. It's called that. He was the man who did the action. I just
He made the move.
He made the move. Okay. And we don't know. They don't have any children. They haven't been blessed with children. And went overseas. Are we concerned that he might die? And then she can't eat truma. So right. So the Gemara said, quoted a Mishnah that said the Gemara found a different Mishnah which indicated that we are afraid of get, and we are afraid that maybe the person will die. And Abaye, and it's two different rabbis, said it's not a contradiction, but it's two different rabbis. Concern. So now comes I asked prediction and said, good morning, Jaime. Morning.
Morning.
A barrel of wine, and it was, let's say, close to Shabbat. He did not have the time. Let's say there's a certain amount that I'm going to separate. Drink from the wine. If the first, you have first certain types that you have to separate. You have to give something to the Kohen, something to the Levi, and some years you take a certain percent, 10% to Jerusalem for you to drink in Jerusalem, for your family members to drink.
I think that was like 2 portions.
We had in Re'eh.
Yeah.
And then there's some years you give it to the poor, depending on the year and the cycle. So the Gemara spoke about the fact that if you have a situation, you don't have time to separate, or let's say you don't have the proper utensils, it's close to Shabbat, and utensils that you have are contaminated, and you can't put the wine, which they're going to separate for Truma, for the Kohen, and utensils that contaminate. So what does the Gemara say you do? So you say, let's say the amount that I'm going to separate after Shabbat, you're calling them out right now. Let's say you have a barrel of 100 lugim. We'll call it 100 pints of wine. And let's say the Kohen, you have to give the average Kohen, the average person gives 2% to the Kohen. He gets 2% on the deal. There are 24 matnat kuna. The Kohen gets 24 different types of presents. It's not the only thing that supports the Kohen. He gets from animals, he gets portions, he gets a lot of different things. He gets the pidyon haben, he gets the coins, the different things that supports the Kohen. So you say, let's say you say 2 pints that I'm going to separate after Shabbat. Those 2 pints I'm calling out right now. In this barrel, there are 2 pints that are now truma
Hope you don't know which pints they are.
But now you don't know so we say there's an opinion that says that we say that when you separate them after Shabbat, we could look at it that what you separated, we'll consider it as if those are the 2 pints that you call that with the 2 pints that you're going to separate later on are the ones that you call Truman right now. And then there's after you separate the 2 pints, you said 2 pints are for Kohen. Then you said 10% of what's left. You started with 100 pints, 2 for the Kohen. I got 98 left.
Yep.
Then you say 10 pints. Then you say not 10. You say 9.8 is for the Levi, for Mr. Bitesh. Okay, we call out 9.8 for Mr. Bitesh. And when I separate it after Shabbat, we say these are the 9.8 that I called out. And then I say I got to give 10% of what's left. I got to take to Jerusalem. I call out 10% Ma'aser Sheni, and the Gemara says, but then there's a thing with Ma'aser Sheni that you have an opportunity to redeem the Ma'aser Sheni on coins, right? If let's say a person says, I don't want to have to travel with the wine. You know, I'm afraid it's gonna spill. It's heavy. You could take the wine, the value of the wine, and redeem it on coins. So since you're able to do that at this moment, so we say you should redeem it on the coins right now. You take and you say that a value of the wine, whatever that value is redeemed on these coins. So that's what the Gemara said on Chav Gimel on a base 23b. Now, that's the opinion of Rav Meir. Now on 24a, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon Osim, they say you can't do that. You can't rely on the fact that tomorrow after Shabbat, Motzei Shabbat, you're going to go ahead and separate, and therefore as a result of that, you should be allowed to drink the wine now before on Shabbat because of what you're going to do after Shabbat. They say it's no good. And why do they say it's no good? So Rashi says they're afraid that the barrel might break, and because you haven't actually separated anything yet, and if the barrel breaks. So then you'll enjoy from it without. So then you never. Therefore, it comes out that you never separated, and never was clear which was the ones that were the ones for the Kohen, which was the ones that was for the Levi, because you never took it off. You never took it off. Then retroactively, the barrel was called tevel. Types were not taken. If you went ahead and you took off after Shabbat, and let's say he agrees, this opinion. The way the Gemara is approaching it now, agrees that if you would take it off after Shabbat, then we could say that's good enough. It's as if this is what you had called out before Shabbat. But if you don't be, then it would they're calling the risk that the barrel might break in between the time that you want to enjoy from it on Shabbat and the time after Shabbat comes. So we see that this rabbi is concerned that something might happen. This rabbi is not concerned about it. So the Gemara is saying, and who was it? And Rav Meir, so the Gemara says, we see, so we wanted to prove from here that Rav Meir is not concerned for something to happen, and Rav Yehuda is concerned. So the Gemara said, this is a contradiction, because Abaye, because Rav Meir had said, what did Rav Meir say, Mr. Bitesh? You're saying about Murphy's Law, the things that go wrong, right? Right. So Rav Meir had said, we're afraid of death of the animal, right? Yeah. But here we see he's not concerned. If he's not concerned of the barrel breaking, he shouldn't be concerned of death of the animal.
Because there's similar idea of like edge case. It's similar. It's like this is an edge case. It's very rare. Should we be concerned about this edge case? Rare thing that happens.
Right. So the Gemara says, comes the Gemara today, Eipach, top of the page at 24a. Eipach, you have to switch it around. Abaye, you have to switch around what Abaye says. New page. Abaye, Mazel Tov, Mabruk. Eipach, Rav Meir chayish l'mita, Rav Yehuda lo chayish l'mita. Rav Meir is concerned for death. When you have to amend Abaye's statement that Abaye said on 23b, which we said that Abaye said that Rav Meir was not concerned for death. So the Gemara is now saying that Rameya is, Rabbi said that Rameya is concerned for, Rameya is the rabbi that is concerned for Mita, and therefore Rameya holds by the animal that maybe the animal might die. And really Rameya is going to be the rabbi that holds by the case of a get that he would hold that we're afraid that the guy will die. If a guy gives a wife a get and says, I want you to be divorced a moment before I die, and if he's a Kohen, maybe any moment the person might die. It says any moment. Morning, Simon. It says he's not here. It says any moment he might die, so she cannot eat truma. If he's married, if he's married to a Bat Yisrael and they have no children, so since he might die, a person might die, and then a moment before she's not able to eat truma because he says, I want you to be divorced a moment before I die. And the Mishnah says he can't eat truma. That's Rameya. So that's what the Gemara now says. Abaye says Rameya is concerned for death, and he's the author of the Mishnah that says by the get case when he gives the wife the get, we're concerned for death. So the Gemara says, and he proves it. Eipach. Rameya the chayish l'mita. Rabbi Yehuda lo chayish l'mita. Rabbi Yehuda is not concerned for mita, but Rameya is. The Tanya we learned to the Braita. Asal lebeima dofen l'sukkah. Here's the Sukkah story, Mr. Betesh. You made Simon. We're on 24a. You made 24a1. You made the animal a wall for the Sukkah. Rameya posel. Rameya says it's no good. He's afraid that maybe the animal might die and he'll shrivel up, shrink, and he'll lose the proper height of the wall that was needed. Rabbi Yehuda machshir. Rabbi Yehuda is not concerned, and therefore he will also be the rabbi. He is the author of the Mishnah that says if the husband went overseas and he's married to a woman who's not a daughter of a Kohen, she could still eat truma because we could leave it on the chazakah. He was alive when he went. We say he's alive overseas, and she's still married to the Kohen, and she still can eat truma. So the Gemara says, but kasher Rameya. We have a contradiction of Rav Meir on Rav Meir, because one place Rav Meir says we're concerned for the death of the animal, we're concerned for the death of the husband, and here when it comes to the wine, he's not concerned that the barrel will break. Why aren't you concerned that between, like Adam said so eloquently, between Shabbat, the beginning of Shabbat, and the end of Shabbat, maybe the barrel will break. The barrel breaks, you never separated the ties. You never separated the ties, so retroactively, you drank something that was not, let's say, the ties weren't properly taken off. So the Gemara says, as Mr. Haber would say, many times if the case is different, the law is different. Sometimes the case being different changes the law. Sometimes the case being different doesn't change the law. For example, a coffee and a drink of soda are two different drinks. It's a different case, but the law is the same. Say shahakal on this, say shahakal on that. Happens to be there is a difference in law that when you drink a soda, they say a burn a fashot. You drink a coffee, since it's drank in a way that's very slow, you don't make a burn a fashot on coffee. So that would be a difference. But when wanting the bracha beforehand, it's the same bracha, even though it's a different case. But sometimes the case makes a difference, like after bracha, like Adam said. So the Gemara said the case of the barrel is the fact that the case is different does change the law. Why? So he says, Amar lachameh, meet the shchiach. Death is something that no one could control. And it happens on a more frequent basis. But bikiyat but the breaking of a barrel, lo shchicha, that a barrel should break. You could have a barrel that lasts 200 years. Yeah. But a person doesn't last 200 years. Why? Because a barrel, actually, the muscle in the shomer. Maybe you could give it to a watchman. I want you to watch this barrel. No children near the barrel. No. Don't leave the barrel on the edge of the table. You can be careful with the barrel. Therefore, and especially you're going to be extra careful to make sure that that your drink. If you don't be careful with the barrel, something happens to the barrel. What will happen? It came out retroactively. You drank something you're not allowed to drink because you didn't take off the types. Because if the barrel breaks in between and you never took the actual types, there'll be a big problem. So you'll watch it. And not only that, we're talking about a short period. Okay, the barrel you can watch for a short period of time. So therefore, he says it's not a, he's not concerned. Rameh is not concerned. Even the Rameh who's generally concerned for the small chances, the miut, this is too small for even him to be worried about, and it's in your control. Something inside your control. He's going to be concerned about. But breaking, right? You know why? Right, because it's not, because that one thing you could control. You could watch something. But the only thing is, we will say is that
make sure the barrel will break. In fact, a lot of wineries have the same barrel, hundreds of years.
So that's what the Gemara says. Now, what we will say, here we are before Yom Kippur. Even though we say a person can't control death, they can control watching the barrel, but in a certain sense, we could control our future as what level a person will have, whether you'll be a righteous person or not a righteous person, that's in our control. How long a person will live is not in our control. But what we become and who we are, that is in our control.
I have another maybe idea. I don't know if this is part of
Talk a little louder so everybody can hear. Jonathan might be available to hear.
Another idea, maybe a little bit more like mystical, spiritual.
No pressure for that.
But it's definitely common. Is by writing down that get in the first place, by writing the contract saying, listen, if I die, then I will take
effect through that moment before he passes away.
He's almost like opening his mouth to the angels to create the possibility that
that's interesting. We say al tiftach pet. People shouldn't say things that about themselves.
He's increasing the likelihood by creating this possibility in the air.
That's an interesting idea. Very good. So let's see, the Gemara continues. Kasha Rav Yehuda. Okay, but how do we explain Rav Yehuda? Because Rav Yehuda says in our Mishnah, and Rav Yehuda says he's not afraid of the animal dying. And here he's afraid of the barrel breaking. Why are you afraid of a barrel? If you're not afraid of the animal dying, there's more reason not to be afraid of the barrel breaking than the animal dying. So why is he concerned about the animal, the barrel breaking? And he says you can't do this thing right before by Shabbat. To make this right before Shabbat, God bless you, to say, whatever, but I'm going to take off after Shabbat. He's afraid of the break. If you're afraid of its breaking, you should be afraid of the animal dying. So the Gemara answers, it's not because he's concerned about breaking the barrel. He's not concerned about the barrel breaking. He's not concerned the animal dying. He's not concerned about the barrel breaking. You know what his concern is? He doesn't hold that you could say that when I take off after Shabbat, that is the one that I called out before Shabbat. How do you know which one? You're saying the 2 pints that I take off after Shabbat are the ones that I pulled out on Friday right before Shabbat. Do you know? Could you identify that this? Meaning, let's say, what happens if the ones that you take off after Shabbat are not the ones that you pulled out on Friday? Then maybe you ate truma. Maybe you ate something that belongs to the Kohen, and you're not Kohen. So you can't rely and say that the truma that I'm going to separate after Shabbat should be truma now, and as if I could say I know which, whenever I am drinking now on Shabbat is not the truma. You don't say that he holds. You can't say that when you do after Shabbat will identify what you're doing now. So that Gemara says, "El mishum de Leslie Breira." No, but he already called it out.
I know.
But if you say it works, that when you do something at a later time, it shows that this is good enough for now, so then it should work.
That's because clearly that's
and allow it leniency.
Yeah, because clearly by the fact it seems like you have to first do the truma and then enjoy the food.
Okay, but the fact that I did call it out now, so there might you could lose that rule and say I did do it. If retroactively it was truma before I actually ate from it. So the Gemara says, time to have made lamishim the chaysh big hands, but he's not afraid of that barrel break. Elamishim the Leslie Breira. He doesn't hold of this concept that you could say what I do later on will retroactively say this to be enough to be that this is what I said. Truma. So the Gemara says, "Well, the Sefer says, "Amalur Rameh," says Rameh. He at the Modesh Shemir Kaim note. He tells Rabbi Meir,
So they're both
right, but doesn't it say that he does? He told them, "Aren't you afraid of the barrel breaking?" So it seems like he's a. That showed that the tefillin of faith came out. You ate food, drank food that was never tight if you never separated at a future date. From Malahu, you know what the Rameh said back? You know what? When it breaks, I'll worry about it. This Yivka. It didn't. We don't see it. We don't have to be afraid that it's going to break. So Michlal, it implies the Chayzer because that word. He is concerned that maybe it's going to break. So the Gemara says no. Hatam Rabbi Yehuda who the color Rameh. Rabbi Yehuda told to Rameh. Says like this. According to me, Lididi, Leslie Brera. I don't hold it that you could say that when you take off after Shabbat, that is the ones that I called out on Friday. How could you? I don't hold of that. But I'm saying even you, Elidas, you hold that it's good enough that after Shabbat you separate. We could say that's good enough to say that it's like these are the ones that you called out before Shabbat. But yet the Moshe you've got a note. You're not concerned about that? But why are you concerned that the barrel might break? Meaning, I'm not concerned that the barrel will break, but you maybe should be concerned that the barrel will break. Amalei, that's what Rameh said back, Yifka. You know what? When the barrel breaks, then we'll worry about it. We don't see the barrel breaking. We don't have to worry about it. I could call out the truma right now. After Shabbat, I'll separate it, and then retroactively, it was fine. And then if I can enjoy my wine.
Rabbi.
Yes.
Is that a reliable principle that you don't need to worry about something that might break, therefore it qualifies? Are you frozen?
Behind me.
I'm sorry? You froze. You're frozen. Sorry.
I'm going to call you right. I'm going to call you on the phone because they can't read the break. I'm going to call you on the phone right now. Right?
Okay.
Just going to wait. I'm just making sure they have 10 people with slichot. Once there's,
okay, go ahead. I'll ask you the question
people, okay?
later. I'll ask you later. Don't worry about it.
All right.
Okay.
I'm not worried.